Hi, I'm Catherine Reid, and coming up next on the St. Paul Forum, I'm talking with Mary Hamel and Loren Schirber about MetroiBA and buying local. That's coming up next on the St. Paul Forum. Welcome to the St. Paul Forum. I'm Catherine Reid, and we're going to be talking about MetroiBA and what it's about. But before we get started, I'd like to start with Mary and just say a little bit about how you came to be involved with MetroiBA and your relationship here in the city.
Okay. Well, let's see. I'm the executive director. We have two staff people at MetroiBA. I'm one, and I've been there about 4 years now. Prior to that, I owned my own business, a small coffee shop in Minneapolis called the Mayday Cafe. And it was during that time that I became very passionate about local businesses, independent businesses, and really found out firsthand why they're so important to communities.
Yeah, and Mayday is, of course, one of those great local neighborhood coffee shops. That's how I first met you, Mary. Yeah. And honestly, the pastries, I still miss them because I don't spend as much time in the neighborhood. But when I go to, one of the places I think about and the community connection is that the catering for Heart of the Beast annual fundraising breakfast included Mayday pastries, which were not to be beat in my view. So, we'll talk more about IBA. And how did you get involved, Loren? You're an owner of a local business, and how long have you been in business at Castle Building and Remodeling?
Well, my dad started Castle Building and Remodeling in 1977, so we've been around a long time. I joined him in 2003 and bought the business in 2008 from him. So
you're a second-generation owner now.
Second-generation owner, yeah. And so over the years, we've opened showrooms, which are a little more retail, a little more open to the public. And so as I wanted to learn a little bit more about the retail industry and learn a little bit more about, well, we kind of started bumping heads a little bit more with the big box stores of Home Depot when it comes to kitchen remodels and things. And so we looked at how do we get involved with an organization that supports local and independent businesses. And that's when I got involved 2 years ago with MetroiBA.
And you're chairing division of the board, as I understand it.
The marketing committee.
The marketing committee, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we do a lot of the promotions and help get the word out.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this idea of buy local, because clearly people who are paying attention are hearing about buying local, and we're just through the Black Friday, and we've been through, but there's the the Saturday small business just happened. So maybe you can talk about it from that perspective, because it's very much on our minds this time of year, and we're getting a lot of different marketing messages. So maybe you can talk a little bit about the mission and what it means to be an independent business and this notion of buying local.
Sure.
Well, MetroiBA stands for Metro Independent Business Alliance, and we are a nonprofit organization. We work to support and advocate for locally owned independent businesses in the Twin Cities area. So that's all businesses, but this time of year we focus a lot on our retailers, of course, because that is this is the most important time of year for them. And so we've been doing, just getting the word out to people about how important it is to support the local businesses this time of year. And I think we've seen a lot of stories in the news, too, to back up that it's actually a much more pleasant experience to shop at a local business. I
just saw a video from a Black Friday sale. Well, I think I was watching The Daily Show, so of course it was a horrific clip of it, but I know it's kind of horrific. But first of all, to just explain what Black Friday is and to connect the dots to why is this so important this time of year for as you say, the retailer section of your independent businesses. Black Friday is the day that supposedly retailers can go in, or the season in which they go into the black from the red. And one of the things people don't think about is that certain small businesses, it takes them all year to make up all their expenses, and they do it at this time of the year because it's the heaviest volume of sales. Am I correct about that?
Correct, yep.
And then for small retailers, what makes it even more important?
Well, generally with small retailers, what you'll find is that they hire locally, they'll source their products and materials locally, which has a multiplier effect, and they give back locally. So a lot of the difference between when you spend your dollars, I kind of like to equate it to a vote. You've got to vote with your dollars, whether you shop at retailer X or retailer Y. We really like to remind people that some studies have shown that 68 cents will stay local with a local mom and pop bookstore, say, versus Amazon or an online retailer, maybe 43 cents. So it's a pretty big difference of the amount of your money that goes back into the local community. And that has a multiplier. So each person down the line that's hired locally, or when you buy your materials locally, it really can have a big impact on your own community. So.
And it's we have been talking a little bit here about the economy and about light rail and some of those kinds of factors. One of the things I think about too is, like, you're talking about a family-owned business. You were a business owner. I'm a business owner. Entrepreneurship is not. We happen to all be culturally from the same general background, but a lot of those entrepreneurs that are making or breaking it here in the Twin Cities also come from different cultures. So I'm wondering, how does that, and the importance of that. So we have a lot of entrepreneurs who are people who've immigrated to the country, are making their own way. How does that look at MetroiBA? Do you have a diversity of business owners, and what does that look like?
We've got a diversity of different types of businesses, but not as much diversity as we'd like. It's been an initiative that we've talked about on the board, and we're looking at other organizations to potentially partner with that might speed up the process of reaching out to more communities, because there definitely is, especially the more urban you get, which generally represents our membership pretty well. Most are in the cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, but especially as you get into urban centers, you get a lot of diversity, and you get a lot of very entrepreneurial people who are maybe in their first generation or haven't been in the country as long, but generally willing to really take some risk and stick their necks out on the line and hire and grow. And entrepreneurship's always tough, but it's something that we've definitely been looking at and would welcome and want to learn, because there's just everybody's got different ways of running their business, and we can all learn from each other, whether it's a construction firm or a law firm or a retailer or a restaurant.
And so MetroiBA serves, as I say, this time of year we're going to talk a little bit more about retail, but let's talk generally about what does it mean, that skin in the game, that risk-taking. A lot of the people who are involved with the organization have taken that risk. Is that correct, that they are themselves the owners of these businesses, or they're very close, it's a smaller organization?
Yes, well, to join MetroiBA, we're a membership-supported organization, and we do have eligibility requirements. The ownership does have to be local, not a franchise, but a true local ownership. And that is one of the things that makes us unique and also makes our events unique, because when people come to our networking events or our educational events or our annual meeting, they're going to be talking to the business owners. And those business owners might be an entrepreneur that risked it all for their dream. And we also have members who are third or fourth generation business owners. We have actually 2 or 3 businesses that have been in business since the 1800s, the late 1800s.
Oh my gosh, that's
fantastic. Bachman's and Schuler Shoes, Strauss Skates. I'm probably forgetting a couple, but so it's really talk about
fascinating.
So many different kinds of businesses with different stories, and all different sizes. We don't have, a lot of people think that we're a small business group. We're really, any size business can join as long as it's locally owned.
That's great. I appreciate that distinction, because that's actually, when you talk about the events, why don't we talk a little bit about the program, because that's how I've gotten more connected to MetroiBA. I've been coming to some of your events and really have enjoyed them, and they've ranged in, they've had quite a range in the kinds of people who speak to why buying local is so important and supporting these businesses. One I particularly remember was when the Secretary of State, Mark Ritchie, came and spoke about the process of incorporating in the state and his personal, that's one of his, we think of him around elections, which is very current, but that's the place where you register your business, and that's, so that was an interesting thing. What do you think the benefit is of having those kinds of programs? What do people come looking for? What kind of education?
Sure. I think as a small business owner, I can tell you when we got involved and looked at the slate of programs we had available, we said, you know, it hits on a broad couple different topics, some around marketing, some around business or accounting, some around just reinforcing to our members the benefits of buying local, and it fosters connections too. So all of our events, whether it's a networking event or we've got a speaker, you get a chance to talk to other small business owners. And so I know personally, like my business, you know, we met a guy a company, Velocity, who does telephone systems, and they're a local company, and so we could now we work with them and we've got a phone system through them. Or we decided we were going to start taking credit cards, and one of our members is a processor of credit cards. And so you get some choices on who you work with or where you buy your office products. And so it's not only about consumers buying locally, I'd say, but we also have a choice as businesses. And so there's networking within the businesses to say, I can buy my office supplies from Bertelson's or from Office Max. And where would you rather your money stays and is reinvested? And so,
yeah, and I love that. I'm glad you mentioned that one, because that was someone I met early on in one of the events, and I loved the pens that he was handing out that night because they were recycled pens, and I really liked the way they worked. And then get that catalog or get online and you can order them from him, and you realize that it's a connection that you hadn't necessarily made. I was trying to explain to a client today the difference between transactional relationships and real relationship.
Sure.
And I was doing it around family business issues, but I was explaining that, you know, I go to the gas station, I get gas and I make a transaction, and I really don't build a relationship anymore with my gas station the way we did at one time. But then I went and bought something at Trotter's, and that's a transaction, but there actually is a relationship there, and it's a relationship because I know the owner, and I go to events there sometimes, and they happen to be a member of MetroiBA, I believe, and active, and they're an example of a very committed, locally sourced organization. And I was saying that's both a transaction and a relationship, and then there's what we do as people, and that's relational, you know. And I was just trying to explain the difference, and I think that's one of the things I'm so attracted to in MetroiBA is that it's there are transactions, and it is it's all about making businesses work, but it seems like it's much more relational. It's really about connecting those dots that you just described. So I don't know, do you have any other stories like that of people who've had some successes in their experience because of their MetroiBA connections? I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there anyone who comes to mind that has had a special something grow out of that connection?
Oh, I think it happens all the time. I mean, we do have on our website, we have an online directory, and so anyone can go to our directory and seek out a local business. But as the executive director, I get emails and calls all the time from people, oh, you know, who do we have in our membership that's an accountant, or who would you recommend for a remodeling project? And so that is just kind of one of the benefits to membership and the ways that we create synergy by what we do.
Yeah, that online directory would be a nice benefit. So that's something we want to make sure people think about doing today is, as they're seeing this show, they want to go to your website and look at that online directory where they can find, is it not just are there recommendations, or is it just the listing of the business?
We list our members at buylocaltwincities.com. There's also information there about our upcoming events. We usually do a member spotlight. And then our Buy Local Holiday Gift Guide is also available on the website. We reached out to our retailers and asked them each to submit the perfect gift for this year. And so there's a wide variety of gift ideas for people who want to shop local for the holidays.
If you're just joining us, I'm speaking with Mary Hamel and Loren Schirber about MetroiBA. So this buy local, I love that idea of the best gift ideas. Tell us a few of those examples. We'll hold up we'll show that in a few minutes, the poster, so people can look for it. But tell us some of the ideas. What were the best ideas?
I know what I like if my mother-in-law is watching. There's a cribbage board that's from Wood from the Hood, where they actually take trees that were cut down.
Oh, yeah, neat.
And sometimes you stamp them with the zip code that it came from. And I know that you can get them at the Bibelo stores or at the Summit Brewery. So it's really cool. They take the old trees that were going to get cut down and turn it into, and they've got all kinds of products they turn into.
And the name of the company again is?
Wood from the Hood.
Wood from the Hood. I love that. I've seen their products. It is beautiful. What a great idea. So those are two places they can buy, and then I suppose if they went to the directory and looked online, they could see that company and find out how to find that product or look at their products.
Yeah, that was going to be my choice too.
Was
actually.
it? Okay, we'll make you come up with another one. I know that the other day a friend of mine had gone in someplace and bought a bath bomb and that she thought she was going to use for herself, and then she realized that it was actually for me, so I actually got it this week. I didn't have to wait for Christmas.
Gift.
But those handmade bath products can be really wonderful, and there are a lot of local developers of those wonderful luxury gifts. You don't have to go to a, the Bath and Body. You can go into some. I'm thinking places again like the Bibelo would have some local. I bought a pair of hand knit gloves from somebody. Are the co-ops members?
Yep.
I saw a lot of beautiful handmade. The gloves with no fingers, and I found a perfect pair for me from there, and I know it was they were locally made.
Even sometimes when the products aren't as locally made, but the retailer is local, you look at something like First Tech in Uptown, who's been there for 35 years and was one of the first Apple dealers, or the first Apple dealer.
They were the first.
Yeah. And so I know they've got a cool Apple TV product that's coming out, or Warner Stallion, which sells like some great barbecue accessories and other gifts that guys like. Yeah.
The gifts that guys like.
Yeah.
We have to know
the ones that are hard to shop for.
Yeah.
So that'll be some tips for people if they're looking for a gift right now. You're trying to help them with that essentially. That's one of the things you're trying to do.
Yeah, and I also want to just jump in with the whole notion of how shopping local can be better for the environment. Loren brought up the Wood from the Hood products. And that's something that's manufactured here and then sold at retail outlets here in town. So you're really, really keeping the dollars local. But these products, weren't shipped from across the country, and local retailers are much more likely to take advantage of existing infrastructure. They're more likely to source goods locally. So, we have a sign. One of the things we put out at some of our events is that 10 reasons to shop local, and I think the environment is a really powerful argument for supporting local businesses.
I think we forget just how far things are being trucked to us, and so those challenges to think about eating more seasonally, going to the farmer's market, those kinds of things which continue to keep it much closer in, less transportation is a big factor, isn't it?
Yeah, and I heard something interesting the other day too, that they actually did a study that people are 7 times more likely to have a conversation with a fellow shopper at a farmer's market than they are in a grocery store. So when you think about, some of the intangible ways that we're trying to build community and improve quality of life, again, that's kind of a hard thing to measure, but I think that's just a really wonderful thing.
It's so true that I just get on fire at farmers markets. I absolutely love them, and one of my tips and ideas for people is buy local honey, buy some canned goods that are for sale through the farmers markets and some of these things, because they're so you didn't have to do them yourself, but I had a theme last year of I'm going to add a little sweetness to your life, and I gave people local honey, and but it does. I also learn a lot, as you say. You go down and you have a conversation with someone because you're looking at something you're not familiar with, or how did you do that? You're asking those questions of people, and it's pretty interesting because you learn how to use some foods that you wouldn't have tried, and so it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I learned that I like Brussels sprouts.
Right.
They said, put it with some bacon and brown sugar, and you can't go wrong with bacon and brown sugar. But yeah, I've definitely seen like the farmers markets. There's so many more farmers markets than when I was growing up. You can buy local beer, you can buy local food, you go to restaurants and they've sourced them, their meat or their veggies locally. And so I think across a lot of different industries and a lot of different areas, we're seeing people kind of make a shift or think more about how they spend their dollars. And it's certainly a certain percentage of the population that's more in tune with it than other parts of the population. But in general, I think that people are starting to question, you know, or think a little bit about, you know, I can buy this piece of plastic at Walmart that came from the other side of the world, or I can go to Peapods and get this, you know, something that's real and tangible and made out of wood and going to last for 100 years or something. So, and it's just a little different. The sustainability and the environment come back into effect of, you know, and I think about that in my business of how do we do this right once so it's here for 50 years. And not so it's whatever's in style that Home Depot sells right now and people are going to be sick of in 7 years. So,
yeah, that's helpful. And what do you think are the critical issues that you're trying to address for these businesses? What do you think they're coming to look for in each other when they're coming together? What problems are they trying to solve?
Well, I would just say that, you know, there's all different kinds of reasons why people join. Some people just like the work that we're doing, and so their membership is basically a donation. Business memberships start at $150, so it's very affordable and accessible to all businesses. And then, you know, some businesses join because they want to get value or benefits back through the networking events and the educational events and having the listing on the directory and that kind of thing. But as far as what's important to them, we also have members that are pretty concerned about some of the policies that have gotten us to the place where we are. And so I'm glad you brought that up, because I did see one of our one of the founders of our movement, Stacy Mitchell, who has Minnesota roots and is now a senior researcher for the Institute for Local Self-Reliance. I saw a talk that she gave a couple days ago, and you know, she talked about as important as it is to support local businesses and to shop locally, we can't shop our way out of this problem.
Yeah.
There's got to be some change in you know, policies. We have to look at how we got here through some of the development decisions that have been made in cities across the country. And MetroiBA has a policy committee that is working on such issues as healthcare and the Marketplace Fairness Act, which, you know, is to...
And the marketplace, that's about sales tax in part?
Right, sales tax fairness for bricks and mortar stores that have to charge sales tax when out-of-state online retailers don't have to charge it. And so we're just trying to help level the playing field for those businesses, not, you know, increase the tax, but just enforce a tax policy that's already in place. And we've actually gotten quite a bit of traction on that, both locally here at the state level and also at the national level.
That's great. Yeah, and that's a big one, because when you think about just basic tax fairness, people think, oh, I can get it for 7% less, but we're not thinking about, well, that's also part of why we have a deficit in our state budget.
Yes.
You know, and we're all paying for that deficit in our state budget. And how does that connect? Again, I think that's one of the things I enjoy about the events. Really encourage people to come to some of your events. It's very friendly, they're a lot of fun, and it just helps people piece together. People come from different political backgrounds. They're not all one stripe, you know, because we're business owners and we all have different, but there are these policy areas where you can come together and educate each other. So I think that's an interesting one. And I imagine from a builder's, like you say, I suppose it's not competition with a Home Depot in that case, but people do make decisions that are at a distance and they're shipped in, and it's not helping the local economy.
Yeah, I mean, definitely you can buy your the cabinets at Home Depot that come from Georgia or wherever, or you know, we can buy cabinets and they come from Sauk Center, Minnesota. So there is a little bit of overlap. You know, more do-it-yourselfers will go to Home Depot, and more people who want it done for them will come to us. But generally, there are some overlaps, and when the bigger the company you get, the less centralized the decision making is, and the less involved people are in the community, or the less they're giving back in the charities to your area. So.
Now, one of the ways people can keep in touch is you do. You have a Facebook page, is that right?
Yep.
So, and that's at the Buy Local one, or you have
the Facebook name is MetroiBA.
Okay.
And that's also our Twitter handle if anyone wants to follow us on Twitter.
Okay, and then you've, but not a Facebook page. It's all.
We do have Facebook and we have Twitter.
Okay.
We actually now have, thanks to Loren, we have a Pinterest page.
Oh, that
and a YouTube
page,
channel.
Yep.
Nice, nice.
So there's a lot of different ways, however people like to
follow us.
You know,
and
if they're
keep in
more
touch.
visual and they want to see a lot of really fun pictures
Yeah.
and products, they can go to our Pinterest page. Facebook has all of our
All your
announcements.
events are there,
and
so people can follow
fun
the
photos.
events. And then obviously we'll promote the website too. We'll let you do that. And so you would love to have a few new members. You'd like
Yep.
some people to join, and it sounds like there's also a citizen option.
Yes.
$50 for a citizen, $150 for a business, and that you can come to an event if you're not a member.
Yep.
And so but there's the added benefit of the directory and some of those things.
Right.
Yep.
We let people visit a few events to kind of get a feel for what we do and you know, who we are. And then we would, usually after people come to a couple networking events, they want to join.
They're ready to join. So
it's a great group.
Well, thank you so much. That's all we have time for. Come join us again next week on the St. Paul Forum.